Hello everyone, Silent here, and welcome back to another episode of Bugrock of the Week. Today we have a brand new beta for the Bedrock Edition of Minecraft, beta 1.16.210.56, and we finally got some more caves and cliffs features. The Sculk Sensors and Dripstones have been added to the game in their preliminary phases with some very basic feature sets, and they are pretty exciting. We're going to check out everything that there is to see with these new features in today's episode, and hopefully you do enjoy. Technically, there was another beta recently, 1.16.210.55, but it's one of those betas where you blink and you miss it because there's only 3 little changes. So let's check out the changelog real quick, shall we? I have 2 interesting things to say and make a point about here. Real quickly, obviously the changelog, it tells you all the things that there is to know about the update, and you can see all the information about dripstones and the Sculk Sensors. First of all of the caves and cliffs features are still behind experimental mode, so the dripstones, the skulks, the goats, the snowier snow, all of that is locked behind experimental mode inside of the betas, so it is actually a little bit separate than the rest of the general bug fixes and various other things that were being seen added to these betas. And that makes me think it's going to be really easy for the developers to drop a new Bedrock Edition update with all of these various bug fixes sometime within the next couple of weeks or possibly the next month or so. Furthermore, there's been some really nice updates to the changelog. They're really going full in with the details and with the known issues and things as well, really telling you what is in the game, what's being worked on, and what is broken. As you can see, they're telling us the exact features that the Sculk Sensors have, and they're also giving us known issues category for each feature set as well. So we have a known issues category for the Sculk Sensor, and if we scroll up a little bit, we got a known issues category for the Dripstone too. It is really nice to see them adding more details to the changelogs, telling us exactly what there is, what there isn't, and what is coming in the new updates. Real quick disclaimer, if you notice any lag or anything in today's video, that is because Minecraft for some reason is using anywhere from 70 to 90% of my CPU, even though I'm not breaking the game or doing anything stupid. It just is what it is, so sorry if there's any lag. So let's check out the dripstones first, shall we? These are what they look like in game. You can place them down and you can actually make them pretty much as tall as you want as well. They're really quite an interesting texture and an interesting block. We haven't really had anything like this in the game before, so if you break the bottom one, of course all the rest of them will pop off, kind of similar to kelp or sugarcane, which is interesting. And of course, if you put them on the ceiling, you can also bring them down to the floor, and you can even make them connect together as well in the middle, and then you'll get something very interesting like that. And then if we break the bottom one, all of the, upwards ones pop off. If we break one of these top ones, the rest fall down, and if that falling bit hits a mob, it'll actually damage it, kind of like a falling spike, which is really interesting. Now, speaking of damage, you can use these things to kill mobs with significantly less distance than standard fall damage. So if we go ahead and summon in a zombie right here, you'll see that it'll die from that spike basically instantly with very little distance between, the zombie and the ground. If we want to kill a zombie with just pure fall damage, we gotta go significantly higher, all the way up to here, for that zombie to die. So spikes can be very useful for a lot of different things, and that'll be useful for definitely at least a couple different mob farms. So for example, if we put a dripstone just like 1 block above this zombie, it's not really going to do that much damage. It takes like a lot of these to kill that zombie. I've been standing here for quite a while. This guy just doesn't die basically. Anyway, if we drop it from much higher up, like all the way in the ceiling up here, you can see that it only takes like 2 dripstones to kill that guy. So depending on how far you drop them, you can set up some really interesting player traps or different mob traps. I'm not sure what the upper limit for damage is, but I do want to find out. I've devised a little bit of a test to see just how much damage these dripstones can do. So we're up here at the top of the world. We got a singular dripstone, and we're going to drop that all the way down to level 5, which is all the way down here, and make that hit a wither. And as you can see from the health bar, it doesn't really do that much damage. It does a little bit. It's like a little chunk of the health bar, but I want to do even better than that. So next up, I want to see what happens if we drop a really, really big dripstone on the wither and just see where this takes us, you know, for science. Oh, it all drops as one. That's really interesting. It's kind of like a missile. Okay, that should be coming in here soon, and it did the same amount of damage. Well, that's no fun. I was kind of hoping each little bit of the dripstone would deal, you know, the same amount of damage as a singular one, so we could, like, stack it. The drip dropper. Yeah, anyway, we're gonna flick the lever. That'll drop 4 different dripstones, and in theory, that'll do 4 times the damage of a single one. So let's check out that wither health bar, and bam. Yeah, okay, so you'd probably need, like, 20 dripstones to kill a wither. If that's not the best way to kill a wither, I don't know what is. You might have guessed it, but these things are called dripstones for a reason. If you have a dripstone under a block and then either lava or water above that block, very occasionally and very, very rarely, you will see these guys actually drip a little bit of lava or water, and then you can use that lava or water drips to fill up a cauldron. Currently, the cauldron filling isn't on Bedrock Edition from what I can see. Neither of these guys have gotten any liquids in them at all, so that's kind of a thing. They do have the actual animation for dripping, it just doesn't do anything for the cauldrons. This does mean that we are going to have infinite lava sources in the Caves and Cliffs update, something I'm very excited for. I've wanted infinite lava since I discovered lava existed. Besides the bugs and the known issues of dripstones, there's not really much else to say about these guys, so let's move over to the Skullca Sensors. These things are creepy. It's basically a motion detector in Minecraft, so anything that creates a physical movement in the world, placing or breaking blocks, activating trapdoors, throwing items, even just walking, basically, it can be detected by the Sculk sensor. Now, currently, these things do not generate naturally in the Bedrock Edition worlds. You gotta find them in the creative inventories, and they only detect about 8 different things at the moment. So they're pretty bare bones, but there's still endless possibilities with these things, and they are really, 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 really amazing. Also, they are vanilla wireless redstone, and that is really cool on its own. I completely forgot to mention that they put out a redstone signal as well, so that's really cool. Sculk sensors can detect movement and motion within an 8-block radius of them, as you can see marked out by these iron blocks here. Anything on or within that radius will activate the Sculk sensor. Right now, there's only a few different things that activate them, so obviously these things can detect any mob in the game walking around or their footsteps, basically. It can also detect blocks being placed, so if we place a block, it'll detect that, of course, and if we break the block, it'll also detect that too. They can detect you hitting the ground, and they can also detect you splashing into water as well. As you see, we splashed into some water, and that activated those guys. They can also detect you swimming, apparently, although I haven't really seen that. I think I'm just activating it via splash. But apparently they can see you swimming, which is kinda scary. Nothing is safe. They can also detect projectiles being shot, so if we shoot this bow, you can see that'll activate it. If we shoot a snowball, that'll activate it. And if we throw a splash potion, that'll activate it as well. Something to note here is the actual projectiles themselves do not yet activate the Sculk sensor, so we can shoot that with an arrow, a snowball, or a splash potion, and that won't do anything at all in the current beta. The Sculk sensors can even detect you flying with an elytra as well, so literally nothing is safe. They're so dangerous. Everything is going to be exploding in 1.17. Nothing is safe at all. You're gonna die from explosions. Everything's gonna be on fire. This one contraption is gonna be the source of so many beautiful traps. I can't wait. Goody, it even gets activated by the fishing rod as well being cast. That's cool. I'm not sure if it's supposed to activate from this, but whenever you hit a mob, it doesn't activate the Sculk sensor. You would think the sounds from the mobs might activate it, but possibly not. Maybe it's missing this beta, maybe it's just not supposed to happen in general. Just a couple things of note, the Sculk sensors definitely are not done yet, so the wool occlusion is not currently in the game. Typically, if you surround a Sculk sensor and wool blocks, that'll stop it from detecting sound in whichever direction the wool blocks are in, As you can see, this one is still detecting sound even when it's got wool on the sides of it. Interestingly enough, dropping items onto the ground also activates the Sculk sensor too. So if you want to do wireless redstone, you can drop an item onto the ground using a dropper, and that can actually go quite far, and then that can activate other Sculk sensors as well. So if we drop an item, that will activate those two, as you can see. Pretty interesting. The amount of detail that goes into this game always astonishes me, and the amount of possibilities is always just wonderful. I love these contraptions. You can even make clocks and like feedback loops using this. It's pretty fun. I mean, look at that. It just keeps on going back and forth. Beautiful. Another thing I'd like to mention about these Sculk sensors, they also put out a variable amount of redstone. So as you can see, if we activate some noise right next to the Sculk sensor, it puts out a signal strength of 15. Whereas if we activate the Sculk sensor on the edges, it only puts out a signal strength of 2, which is very, very good. So this means that we have a lot more possibilities, even more than you would think with the Sculk sensors. You could probably set up some various different combination locks with various different Sculk sensors in like different locations. So you can't just have any old sound activate your door. You have to have a sound in one specific spot to activate your door, for example. That's just like the first thing that comes to mind. You know, location-specific activation of redstone devices. And that would be pretty cool. So there are seriously like a bajillion different possibilities with the Sculk sensors. The amount of things that they can detect is tremendous, even within this very limited beta. And once they're fully added to Bedrock Edition and Java Edition, they're going to be so powerful. This is a new era of redstone. Welcome to the creepy era. You can place redstone on top of the Sculk sensor. I don't think that should happen. And this is what I mean by location-specific activation of a redstone device. As you can see, we got 3 different Sculk sensors. You could get away with just having 2, or probably even just 1 if you were the clevers. And as you can see, if we make some noise directly here on that block, it's going to give an output through our system. But if we make noise pretty much anywhere else around this area, it is not going to make an output go through our system, which is pretty cool. So you can have location-specific detection of various different noises. You could even have this be like several blocks up in the air due to these things having a radius of detection around them. So if you did that, you know, having some noise up in the air, that would be a very hard system to activate randomly. This system only activates on this exact block as well. As you can see, if we put a fishing rod above it, it's not going to put an output. If we put a fishing rod or any other sound to the sides of that block, it's not going to activate the system either. It literally has to be this block right here. So it is very, very specific. It's worth keeping in mind that not all sounds are made equal as well. For example, launching the fishing rod only gives it about a signal strength of 5, whereas allowing the fishing bobber to hit the ground will give it a much higher signal strength. So you can use that for even more different custom activations of redstone and whatnot. And here's an example of using the fishing rod in an even better way. So as you can see, if we throw a fishing rod in any of these areas, it's never going to activate both of these Sculk sensors. And what you need to activate the output of this one is to stand right here and launch the fishing bobber into that corner, and then the bobber will activate that Sculk sensor, and you launching the bobber will activate the Sculk sensor behind us, which is pretty interesting. So if we go ahead and look at ourselves and launch the bobber again, you'll see that the redstone lamp activates. So that's a really interesting way of doing things as well. Using these things in tandem with other forms of secret entrance, you can get amazing complexity with your secret entrances and secret activations. There are a few other bug fixes and various different updates in this beta as well, but nothing terribly worth mentioning. So if you're interested, it's on screen. If you're not, then don't read, because you have the right to not read. So what do you think of the Sculk sensor? Are we no longer safe? Can we use these for basically anything and everything in the entire history of the world? I think we can. Basically, everything is possible now. We have motion detectors and wireless redstone in Minecraft, which is very, very fascinating, and I'm super looking forward to it. Anyway, that's about going to do it for today's episode of Bugrock of the Week. I hope that you have enjoyed. Of course, if you have, consider leaving a like on the video video. It helps out the video and the channel a ton. If you're new here, then consider subscribing so you don't miss future episodes of Bugrock. Otherwise, I'll see you guys down in the comment section and in the next video. And then there was silence.